The Customs Act was formulated in the year 1962 to prevent illegal imports and exports of goods into the nation. Besides, all imports are sought to be subject to a duty with a view to affording protection to indigenous industries as well as to keep the imports to minimum in the interest of securing the exchange rate of Indian currency. Now, you can see that there is a huge amount of customs duty which is being levied on various goods that have been imported. One of the important objective is to promote indigenous industry of our own country. We are focusing on Make in India, self-reliance, Atmanirbhar. See, one of the most important thing here is of the reason why customs is here is because encourage exports and discourage imports. The reason is very clear: to sustain sustainable development. And that is why this particular act was introduced in 1962. It came into force in 1962. And the reason is the levy and the rate of customs duty in India are governed by the Customs Act of 1962 and the Customs Tariff Act of 1975. Now, what is this Customs Act and what is this Customs Tariff Act? Now, Customs Act is the constitutional provision for the government to levy taxes on imports and exports, number one. Number two is that the Customs Tariff Act gives you the rate at which and what are the most important duties and at what rate that it has to be taxed is mentioned in the Tariff Act. So that is the most important aspect here with regarding to Customs Act and Customs Tariff Act 1975. So imported goods in India attract basic customs duty, additional customs duty, and also your cess. There are many other duties as well in the form of specific duties, ad valorem duties, apart from your basic customs and additional customs. Customs duty on imports and exports. Customs duty is on imports into India and exports out of India. Section 12 of the Customs Act, often called the charging section, provides the duties of customs shall be levied at such rate as may be specified under the Customs Tariff Act of 1975. So I told you in the previous slide that the section 12 of the Customs Act is the charging section, that is the section which creates the incidence of customs duty. So that's the basis of charge, or the basis of charge is section 12 of the Customs Act. And it is always charged at the tariffs which are being mentioned under the Customs Tariff Act of 1975. Now the rates are being amended on a continuous basis and they fix a certain rate for a specific period depending upon the financial budget every year. So, or any other law for the time being in force on goods imported into or exported from India. So this Customs Act creates avenues for more exports and restricts more of imports. So the basic customs duty, all goods imported into India are chargeable to a duty under Customs Act of 1962. The rates of this particular duty, popularly known as basic customs, are indicated in the first schedule of the Customs Tariff Act 1975 as amended from time to time under the various finance acts. So basically every year the finance budget is presented and it is empowered, customs duty is empowered by the Customs Act and the rate by the Tariff Act, and every year it is determined accordingly to the process in tune with the finance acts, that is the budget which is presented every year. The duty may be fixed on an ad valorem basis or a specific rate basis. We saw the definition of ad valorem and specific rate. Can anybody tell me what is what is the ad valorem basis?
Based on the value of money of goods.
Yes, absolutely right. So that is ad valorem duty. What do you mean by a specific rate? Ad valorem is based on the weight and specific rate is based on the value or exchange rate or on the, so the duty may be in percentage of the value of the goods or at a specific rate. The central government has the power to reduce or exempt any goods from these duties. Now, why this kind of an exception is there is because there are so many goods which are imported for various purposes. So we have another thing called CVD, countervailing duty or additional duty. Of this countervailing duty is leviable as additional duty on goods imported into the country, and at the rates structure of this duty is to equal to the excise duty on like articles produced in India. So there is a basic customs duty, then there is an additional or CVD, countervailing duty. Now, what is this countervailing duty does? The countervailing duty is the duty that the government would have received if the same or similar kind of product was manufactured in our country. The revenue it would have generated by the way of excise duty. What is excise duty? Excise duty is always levied on goods. Am I right? And when it is levied, when even before the goods leave the factory gate, excise duty has to be remitted to the government. So the same excise duty in the form of CVD, that is countervailing duty, is imposed in the form of additional or countervailing duty along with your basic customs duty. The base of this additional duty is CIF value plus the duty levied earlier. So if the rate of this duty is on ad valorem basis, okay, based on the weight, okay, based on the measure, ad valorem basis, the value for this purpose will be the total of the value of imported article and the customs duty on it, both basic and also auxiliary, the additional one. Now, export duties. Now, all what we saw was import duties. Now, we are going to look at export duties. Under Customs Act 1962, goods exported from India are chargeable to an export duty because they're leaving our country and going. The items on which export duty is chargeable and the rate at which the duty is levied are given in the Customs Tariff Act, again, as amended from time to time under Finance Acts. So it is again import and export, both are again bound by the customs duty and also by the Tariff Act. The rate is again prescribed in the Tariff Act. However, the government has emergency powers to change the duty rates and levy fresh export duty depending on the circumstances. Now, in order to encourage exports, there are many provisions which are being done by the government for the industries in India. You would have seen many of the zones, like they are called industrial areas, okay? ITPL, International Tech Park Limited, okay?
Limited.
That's called ITPL, International Tech Park. If you are having your office in the ITPL and if you are exporting any of your software, there are many provisions such as tax holidays, tax subsidies, waiving off of export duties, 100% export oriented units. There are a lot of benefits given by the government. The government has emergency powers to change the duty rates and levy fresh export duty depending on the circumstances. Auxiliary duty of customs. This duty is levied under the Finance Act and is leviable on all goods imported into the country at the rate of 50% of their value. Okay. However, this statutory rate has been reduced in case of certain types of goods into different slab rates based on the basic duty chargeable on them. So basically 50% of the value is being added as your auxiliary duty. So we need to know the cess right now. Cesses are leviable on some specified articles of exports like coffee, coir, lac, mica, tobacco, unmanufactured, marine products, cashew kernels, black pepper, cardamom, iron ore, oil cakes, and meals, animal feed, and turmeric. These cesses are collected as parts of customs duty and are then passed on to the agencies in charge of the administration of the concerned commodities. Education cess on customs duty and education cess was introduced, has been imposed on import goods with effect from 9th July 2004. The cess will be 2% on with effect from 1st March 2007, 2% plus 1% of the aggregate duty of customers, excluding safeguard duty, CVD countervailing duty, anti-dumping duty. What do you mean by anti-dumping duty? The duty which is levied so that the foreign countries need not dump their products into our country. Now, protective duty. Tariff Commission has been established under Tariff Commission Act of 1951. If the Tariff Commission recommends and central government is satisfied that immediate action is necessary to protect interest of Indian industry, protective customs duty at the rate recommended may be imposed under Section 6 of the Customs Tariff Act. The protective duty will be valid till the date prescribed in the notice. So this is with regarding to the protective duties. Everything is done by the Tariff Commission under the Tariff Commission Act of 1950. Anti-dumping duty on dumped articles. Often large manufacturers from abroad may export goods at a very lower prices compared to prices in his domestic market. This is very, very true. It's not like, they manufacture and then simply give it to you. No, not like that. Even if you look at the iPhone charger and things like that, it is all manufactured in China. But, the manufacturing is done according to the needs of the customer. So if you want the best product, you want to have a safest product, they're ready to manufacture. So that is why, you see, even though iPhone may be manufactured, iPhone was manufactured in China, the quality of the build is everlasting. So this is the most important criteria here. But in order to avoid this kind of dumping into the country, such dumping may be with the intention to cripple the domestic market or domestic industry or to dispose of their excess stock. This is called dumping. Based on this particular process of dumping, anti-dumping duty on dumped articles is levied. In order to avoid such dumping, central government can impose under Section 9A of the Customs Tariff Act anti-dumping duty up to the margin of dumping on such as if the goods are being sold at less than its normal value, they can increase or levy an anti-dumping duty, because in the local market, if a particular product is sold for 100 rupees, and if this particular person is selling the same product for half of its price, then anti-dumping duty may be levied on such articles at the time of import. So there is a very, very detailed procedure of evaluation of the goods, because when it comes to customs, there is a HSN, Harmonized System Nomenclature, which is generated, wherein for every product imported, there is a special code. That code is called as HSN code, Harmonized System Nomenclature Code. So anti-dumping action can be taken only when there is an Indian industry producing such kind of articles. So levy of such anti-dumping duty is permissible as per WTO agreements, that is World Trade Organization's agreement, and only on those articles which are already being manufactured here. If it is a similar manufacturer, it is a substitute for the goods which is manufactured, then we can levy the safeguard duty. Central government is empowered to impose safeguard duty on specified imported goods if central government is satisfied that the goods are being imported in large quantities and under such conditions that they are causing or threatening to cause serious injury to domestic industry. Such duty is permissible under WTO agreement. So safeguard duty is a step in providing a need-based protection to domestic industry for a limited period, with ultimate objective of restoring free and fair competition. Okay, so this is something to relating to. Again, it is also something similar to our anti-dumping and to safeguard our local national calamity or contingent duty, NCCD. So these are the duties which are being included in the Customs Act. A national calamity contingent duty, NCCD, of Customs has been imposed by Section 129 of the Finance Act of 2001. These are the amendments which are being made according to the needs and the changing trend in the entire industry with regarding to economy. This duty is imposed on pan masala, chewing tobacco, and cigarette. It varies from 10% to 45%. NCCD of Customs of 1% was imposed on motor cars, multi-utility vehicles, and two-wheelers, and NCCD of ₹50 per ton was imposed on domestic crude oil. Section 134 of the Finance Act. There are different rates of duty for different goods. There are different rates of duty for goods imported from certain countries in terms of bilateral or other agreements. So since we are a member country of the World Trade Organization, we have international and bilateral relationships. Since we are part of the WTO agreement, we are a member country of WTO, we are bound by certain trade restrictions and certain trade compulsions by the WTO. See, when the WTO says that in order to maintain a balance in the entire globe, if it says that if we have to export certain goods at this particular rate, the government has to do it. Otherwise, our understanding and our relationship may become a bitter experience. So therefore, here this is very, very important. Bilateral or other agreements with such countries which are called preferential rate of duties, and the duty may be percentage of the value of the goods or at a specified rate. Export procedures. Entry outward. Loading in conveyance can start after entry outward is given by customs officer. So how is the procedure of our exports and what is the process of levying our duties? So export manifest report should be there. A person in charge of conveyance is required to submit export manifest or an export report. So he has to tell what is the entire, he has to create a report stating that what can be, and registration with DGFT and EPC. Exporter has to be obtaining IEC number, import export IEC import export code number from the DGFT. Okay, is the Director General for Foreign Trade is in advance. He should be registered with Export Promotion Council if he intends to claim export benefits. So export procedures, third party exports. Exports can be by manufacturer himself or a third party, that is by an exporter on behalf of another. Merchant exporter means a person engaged in trading activity and exporting or intending to export goods. Registration of documents under export promotion scheme, advance authorization, DEPB. These are the schemes, okay? DEPB, etc. should be registered if exports are under export promotion scheme. Should be shipping bill. Export is required to submit shipping bill with required documents for obtaining permission to export. Import procedures, e-filing of documents. Goods should arrive at customs port, airport only, either through sea or through air only. Most of custom procedures are computerized. E-filing of documents is required. Import manifest or import report. Person in charge of conveyance is required to submit import manifest or the report. Entry inwards. Goods can be unloaded only after grant of entry inwards. There is another most important thing called bill of entry. So that is what is called entry inwards, the other name for bill of entry. Bill of lading should be there. Risk management system, self-assessment on basis of risk management system has been introduced in respect of specified goods and importers. So here, bill of entry for home consumption on payment of customs duty. Importer has to submit bill of entry giving details of goods being imported along with required documents. Electronic submission of documents is done in major ports. White bill of entry is from home consumption. Imported goods are cleared on payment of customs duty. Bill of entry for warehousing. Yellow bill of entry is for warehousing. It is also termed as into bond bill of entry. As bond is executed, duty is not paid and imported goods are transferred to warehouse where these are stored. Green bill of entry is for clearance from warehouse on payment of customs duty. It is for ex bond clearance. With that, we just got ourselves introduced to the customs duty.